Hi guys, this is DC Lavawa. I just come to realize is that I've never really gave any kind of a layout tour. I've asked people online to, if it's possible, to do a layout tour, so you can see the overall size and the detail gone into the layout. And come to realize that I've never done one myself. I've never posted a layout update, or gave you a layout tour, I should say, of my railroad. So yeah, so this is exactly what I'm gonna show you guys. I'm gonna give you guys a layout tour of my railroad. This layout here, I've had it. It was planned for quite some time, actually. The planning stages of this layout, believe it or not, the planning was, took me off and on roughly about a year, believe it or not. I was trying out on computer different scenarios and different track arrangements, and obviously playing with the dimensions that I've got here to kind of fit and also meet the criteria that I want and I didn't want, such as duck unders. I wasn't too keen on any duck unders. I wasn't too crazy about having two levels of a railroad to manage, and I wanted something that I would also complete or have 95% completed. If the layout becomes just way too big, sometimes people end up changing their minds. They don't like something, they tear it down, they rebuild it. I mean, I've seen a lot of that on YouTube. A lot of people that, changing their minds as they go along here. I didn't want to do any of that because that costs money. So I wanted to get it done as best as I could. So I did a lot of planning ahead of time on computers. It saves a lot of money doing that, tearing up tracks and changing arrangements, and that kind of stuff costs money. So I wanted to make sure that I get it right the first time, kind of deal. So that being said, let me give you guys a quick little layout tour, and I'll show you where I'm at. I'm approximately 80% completed, and if that keeps on going at a steady pace, I should be done hopefully within a year or two maximum. Alright guys, so here I'll start off with the layout tour. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the west end of the layout. Now this west end of the layout, this is the one of the industries I've got. This is Beaver Lumber, and Beaver Lumber here is marked off with a brown circle, which basically is what I use for my card counting system on my layout. If ever you guys want to know how I would go about doing that, I'll show you possibly maybe on a later video. So, all my industries are color coded, and all the cars intended for that industry have that marking on the car, as well as a letter indicating whether it's heading eastbound or westbound on the layout. So I'm going to start off here with the Beaver Lumber Supply, and this here is the main line. It's coming in from staging. So what I'm simulating here is that this is a secondary line north of the Utuay River, and the main line of Canadian Pacific's main line is a little bit further south, and it's a double line track. And so what I end up doing sometimes is I end up simulating, or I pretend, say if you wish, that the main line has some kind of damage or some works being done on the Canadian Pacific main line, and they redirect and reroute some of the traffic onto my layout or my line. So it gives me an opportunity to run some locomotives continuously on the layout. But essentially, what this is the train comes in intended for the Gatineau Yard. Here is the west end entry of the Gatineau Yard. And there you can see C.P.N.S. Freight House. So the main line locomotive is on the main line right now, and now you got the arrival departure track, which is where the row of the tank car is and the hoppers are. And next to that, where the boxcar is at this moment, that is traffic. That is the yard heading for westbound traffic is to be headed on, to be placed on that car, and eastbound traffic is to be headed out on this track here as well. And any cars or any cargo needing to be delivered anywhere on my layout, they all get placed on the local track here. So right here is the local track. So this is the Gatineau Yard. So here you've got the engine holding area here. Now you got the fuel depot. Well, the fuel state is fuel state. I've got the fueling station, sanding tower, maintenance building for locomotives to do any kind of small maintenance, really small stuff, you know, if they've got any mechanical problems. And this is not intended as a major overhaul. It's just a simple place for if any engines on the line have any problems, they can just go into the engine facility for quick repairs. So here we got the main line continuing, and there is the entry into, this is the east end entry into the yard. The arrival departure track is right there. There is the westbound, eastbound, and the local track. So then right here, continuing along here, that is the yard lead. And the yard lead goes all the way around. I had a fairly long yard lead, so I can cut cars fairly long. And here is the a team track, which is seldomly used. So this whole section here has been about 2010. This is my phase 1. So phase 1 was pretty much completed, and now we're moving on to the phase 2 part of my my layout, which I have completed about a couple of years ago. Okay, and the phase 2 I've got here. So I've got the highway overpass, which is kind of my what I kind of use as a divider, if you will, between the Gatineau Yard and what essentially becomes some woody areas. So the yard lead at the back, at this point on, transitions into a spur for the Richland Fuel and Depot. So kind of kill two birds with one stone here. So what I essentially use is the yard lead turns into an industry. So the main line then passes underneath the overpass, heads around over the road, and now starts entering into phase 3. This is the phase 3 of my my layout, which is now the forested area. Here's also is where I have my river. I have some wildlife there. Also got some wildlife placed in the river scene here as well. So the line then just continues around Got some bears. It's going to be a confrontation between the two of them, just to make it interesting. One is defending his territory against another one. So the line then continues around. This is now this is the peninsula here. Now it's going through here, and as you can see, I wanted to have some distance between the yard and the town. I didn't want to have them too close to each other. I wanted to have some distance, or some running distance, between the both of them, so at least I can have some trains just, you know, running the line. So we're coming across here. Now we're starting to enter into a more populated area. So I got an old, the old town, abandoned town, the water town. It's abandoned. You can see I tried to make it placed cobwebs and broke some pillar posts as well. So I kind of abandoned, punched some holes into it, made it look really abandoned here. My line doesn't run on steam power, not anymore, but it still uses older diesels, first and second generation diesels. Now I'm pulling around here, the centerpiece of the layout, the Richland fuel, no, the Redpath sugar refinery. And now we're heading into the town. I just recently came up with the name for the town, which is a real town that actually does exist along the tracks of a CP line, and the town is called Masson. It's a town in Quebec. Does not really look like this. This is just because I wanted to give my layout a sense of location, but no, I'm not exactly modeling the town per se. I mean, the town doesn't have a sugar refinery. So coming on here, this here part is now the town. It's going to have the town siding. I've installed one of my signals, crossing signals. Still got to install the other. And the line is going to continue through here. The town is going to be placed here. You're going to have an intersection here as well. And then you're going to have another major industry right at the corner here, which is going to be a furniture factory. And so this area here can also be fairly busy because it's going to have a furniture factory as well as the traffic for the sugar refinery. So traffic is going to be going through the siding here very often. So this is another key location. My backdrop, you can clearly see, I do not want to see the other half of my layout, so it gives you a sense that there's some distance between the Gatineau yard as well as the town. I did that purposely. And I don't know if anyone has ever seen this before in one of my previous layouts. All these posts here signify that my layout is actually, my backdrops are removable. You can actually remove my backdrops to do some work. So if need be, I can actually remove my backdrop. My entire layout is set up that way. The backdrop is removable. So from here, it goes all the way around into staging. And the staging I've got in the back, I got 3 tracks for staging. One of the staging areas is a town called Buckingham, which is a real town. And that town right now is set up as a staging area in the back of my layout, but I may have future plans, to actually build the town, possibly maybe up along here as on this part of on this wall here. But that's a possibility. Like I said, that's the reason why my layout, I wanted to get it 95% completed, because your layout is never really completed. But I'm fairly close to having a finished layout, and I'm working hard to get that done, because I'm really keen on running my trains on completed scenery, which I think is enjoyable. Well, that's pretty much my layout tour of my of my railroad. It isn't very big. The track plan is not, it has not deviated very much from my original track plan, except for some spurs and things like that. But other than that, that's pretty much it. This is what it looks like. Very simple, very clean. I didn't want to make it overly complicated. I wanted to make it simple, and you can have approximately 1, 2 to 3 people running the layout pretty comfortably. So hope you guys enjoyed this layout update. And this is DC Laverois. I'm signing out. Bye, guys.